Hi, I'm Jason Sanders, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to integrate the new OpenAI Assistants API into the Microsoft framework called Autogen. And specifically, I'm going to show you how to upload and summarize and ask questions about an external PDF file. So with that, let me remove my head here, and let's go over to the code. So basically, I've set up a Python Jupyter notebook in Visual Studio Code. And the first thing to do is create a virtual environment, which I've already done. And there's only one installation that you'll need to do. So what you'll need to do after you've set up your virtual environment is simply type pip install pyautogen equals 0.2.0b5 and hit enter. I'm not going to do that right now because I've already actually installed it, but that's all you need to do. And once you've installed that, this first bit of code here is where I'm importing in my OpenAI API key. And if you don't have one, you'll need to go up to OpenAI and create an account and create your own API key. In this next bit of code here, I am initiating the client, the OpenAI client, and I'm pulling in my OpenAI API key. That's hard to say, OpenAI API key. And then in this third bit of code here is where I'm actually uploading a PDF file to be analyzed. And in this example, I went to the Solana website and downloaded their white paper, which I think is over 30 pages long, and just downloaded it and saved it to my documents folder here. And so to pull in a PDF file like this, it's very simple. You just write file equals client.files.create, parenthesis, and in the parentheses, file equals open, and then you type in the path. So the path for this is documents/solana-whitepaper.pdf, comma RB. And then the purpose is assistance. So once you've done that, this next bit of code here creates an OpenAI assistant that has access to that PDF that we just uploaded. So to create this assistant, we say assistant equals, and actually you could name it whatever you want. I'm just choosing to name it assistant for this example. So assistant equals client.beta.assistance.create. And in these parentheses, I'm naming it the Solana expert, and then instructions equals you are an expert on the Solana cryptocurrency. Model equals GPT-4-4-1106-preview. That's the name of the model that was just unveiled a couple of weeks ago by OpenAI. And this is the model that you'll need to use to do this exercise. And here I'm pulling in the file that we just uploaded. So you'll want to write file IDs equals file.id. So when we created this, ran this bit of code, a file ID was generated for this file that we uploaded, and that's where we're pulling it in here. And then tools equals type : retrieval. So in this case, in a previous video that I made, I showed how you can use the tool code interpreter to analyze, for example, data in a CSV file. In this case, retrieval is being used because what I want to do is to ask a question of a PDF file, maybe summarize it, or maybe I have a specific question, and I want to retrieve that particular answer. So once this assistant is created, then that assistant needs to be brought into Autogen. And so the first thing to do is to write LLM config equals assistant ID colon assistant ID. And again, much like with the file here, when we ran this, well, I haven't run it yet, but when I run this bit of code, it's going to generate an ID for this assistant. And we're pulling this ID here into LLM config. And this is important because, as we see here, the next step is to create an Autogen GPT assistant. And we're going to pull that assistant we created here into this Autogen GPT assistant through this line of code. But let me go through this from the beginning first. So again, I could name this whatever I want, but I'm naming it GPT assistant equals GPT assistant agent. And then in parentheses, I'm giving it the name of Solana expert. The instructions are: you are an expert at answering questions about the Solana cryptocurrency. Reply with terminate when the question has been answered. And then LLM config equals LLM config. And again, as I mentioned earlier, this is where I'm bringing in that assistant ID of this assistant that we created in OpenAI, which has access to the file that we uploaded, as well as the retrieval tool. Okay, so next bit of code here is where I'm creating a user proxy agent, and the user proxy agent interacts with the GPT assistant agent, and I'm calling it user proxy. Again, I could call it whatever I want, but in this case, I'm calling it user proxy equals user proxy agent, and in parentheses, I'm naming it Jason, which is my name, and then code execution config. Basically, this, if I were to ask my assist agents to create some sort of file, that might contain some Python code or something like that, then it would be placed in a folder would be created over here called coding, and the file would be placed in that. In this example, I'm not going to do that, but I just wanted to explain what that bit of code meant. Okay, and then finally, to initiate the chat is very simple. I just write user proxy. So I'm asking my user proxy here to initiate the chat with GPT assistant, and I'm sending the task, or I'm setting the task, which I wrote up here, which is please write a short summary of the Solana white paper. Or I'm sending in the task here, which is to please write a short summary of the Solana white paper. So let's run this code and see what happens. So I'm bringing in my OpenAI API key. I'm initiating the client. I'm uploading the PDF file, the Solana white paper that I want to be not so much analyzed, but summarized. Create an OpenAI assistant with access to this PDF. And bring that assistant agent into Autogen. Now I'm going to create a GPT assistant. I'm going to create the user proxy. And now, finally, I'm going to initiate the chat, and I'm just going to ask it to write a short summary of the Solana white paper. And let's see what happens. So here we can see the user proxy, which I've named Jason, is telling the Solana expert, which is the GPT assistant, to write a short summary of the Solana white paper. And we can see here it did it. So here's a 2-paragraph summary of the Solana white paper. And this is really fantastic. So if I wanted to, I could, up here, I could ask some follow-up questions. Let's see, please explain. Let's see, let's ask it a follow-up question. Please explain proof of history in a little more detail. Okay. So it's saying here in this summary that it introduces a new blockchain architect. Solana introduces a new blockchain architecture centering on proof of history. And let's say I want a little bit more detail about what proof of history is. So I'm asking the Solana expert, please explain proof of history in a little more detail. And let's see what we get back. Okay, so here we are. It gives, I'm not going to read all of this, but it gives a 3-paragraph more description of what proof of history is. So yeah, this is pretty impressive. I could, you know, ask even more specific questions if I wanted to. So you could sort of see the power of this. If I had multiple PDFs or multiple documents, I could upload them here and query, ask questions, ask the retriever to, or my agent to compare and contrast all sorts of different types of things like that. So anyhow, I hope this video was helpful, and I hope to see you again in the next one.